if you don't duplicate, learn from other people. Number one is pretty much from that point, I stopped doing what I had done to get there. Because I'm rich now, remember, I was making $1,800 a month. So now I'm making $12,000, $15,000, right? She's still working because it has happened so fast. It's like, whoa, right? We got some money here, so we're saving some money and paying stuff down. And comfort is the enemy of success, right? If I had to go back and do it again, I would have kept that pace for another 12 months or however long I could have physically done it, right? Because who knows where we would be today, right? We basically parked our income at $150,000 for 3 years, right? Boom, there and then just flatline nothing, right? A couple of other times we've gone back in and built for like 90-day spurts, okay? I just promoted our 10th RVP 3 days ago, went active, and I got him in a spurt that I went and direct recruited 7 directs the month after convention last year. I decided I was going to recruit 10, and I didn't do it, but I recruited 7, all right market, right? We got our first RVP to 19,000 going out last month. Out of that, 7 people from July of last year, right? We've got 2 more that'll be RVPs, which is taking a little longer, right? But a couple of times I've gone back in with the mindset of I'm going to build another front line of leaders, right? And I do it the same way. I just go in 5, 6, 7, 8 directs a month, right? For 3 or 4 months once you know what you're doing here, and that's enough to build another front line of production, right? And if you look at the big leaders in the company, right, they do that a couple of times, right? Look at Bill Whittle. Okay, Bill Whittle's guys that are killing it today aren't Bill Whittle's guys from 10 years ago that were killing it. And thank goodness that he went and got them, or Bill Whittle wouldn't be Bill Whittle today, right? Okay, so this is my Google Docs. Can we make it any bigger? Oh, awesome. Okay, so this is our Google Docs. I don't know why it's so blurry. Oh, it's a picture of it. That's why I took a picture. Okay, so this is something that I have as optional for some of my full-timers, right? And some plug in, some don't plug in. The guys that don't plug in they make the least amount of money, they're totally, I mean, you need to have some form of accountability, right? Okay, because we're human beings, we're like water. We flow to the path of least resistance. That's a natural thing for us, right? So let me show you what I track on here, and so I can watch it and show you what's happening. But again, I'm big on understanding most people are not going to do what I did, right? They're just not going to do it. But you can still win even if you don't do that. But you got to have a process. You got to be consistent. So I said, okay, let me look at what we're going to watch here. So let me show you some of these metrics here. And I'm not saying you should do this if you have different systems. You, by all means, run your system. But this is how my mind thinks, right? And I put it on paper so I can help the people that are not me think like me, at least by default. Right? By accident. They might not actually be thinking about it, but this is going to make them think about it, right? So I watch a bunch of things. So they have their name. Most of them have funny nicknames, okay? Some of them I give them, okay? And then they have their goals, their in-market appointments. So I want you to look at this really in like 3 places. So this color column here is their total number of appointments they have booked for the next 7 days that they're going to be on, okay? And they're split into 6 categories: personal appointments, recruiting appointments, initial kitchen tables, carrybacks, and steams, okay? And then they have team appointments, so downline set appointments that they're going to be on, and I just recruits and kitchen tables, okay? And then I color code them. So I want them to be at 20 for the week. Why? Okay, here's why. I track their close rates and their completion rates, right? Because listen, Primerica, the company, is like a giant upline to us, to all of us. They override all of us. That's where the money comes from, right? It's like one big giant upline, okay? And I stopped and thought about it one day. I'm like, somehow these guys can figure out within pennies on 75 million shares how much profit they're going to make this quarter. How did they do that? Right? I mean, some of you can't figure out if you're going to do 5 by 5. The companies figure out, right, making press releases. I'm going to do, you know, we're going to make 79 cents a quarter after this expense and that expense. It's like this behemoth deal, and they can figure that out. I said, there's got to be some sort of numbers here that they run this thing on, right, that makes it predictable, okay? And if they can do it at that level, why not do it at a smaller level? Right? If we watch what they watch, we probably can figure out what's going to happen. And so that's what we do, and this system works really well for me. Okay? So this column here is complete rates. Okay? So every day they get on, and there's a column here called appointment scheduled. If they had 5 appointments scheduled yesterday, what goes in that column? 5. Okay? They ran 3 appointments, so there's appointments ran. If they ran 3 to 5, what goes in that next column? 3. And that gives us a ratio. In that case, it's 60%. Right? And every day they update this. So we're tracking their rolling 7-day total, right? Sunday to Saturday, Monday to Sunday, every day we're tracking it out 7 days forward. And then we're keeping track of what they had yesterday and what they ran. And that gives us a complete rate. Why is that important? Right? Because it helps us figure out what the numbers are going to be. Right? So if you look here, the complete rate of the people that were being represented here, this is for last month, is 49.87%. And it stays right about 48 to 55. That's what they do. Right? Why is this important? If you got 20 appointments and you complete 40, that's what I said as a standard. If you're not completing 40, you're doing something wrong. Right? But if you complete 40% of 20 appointments, how many appointments are you going to complete? No? Well, I'm sorry. 40% of 20 appointments is what? 8. What's Art's first number? 8. Okay? But you can't have 8 and go on 2. It doesn't work. You have to actually do the 8. So if your complete rate's going to be 40, then you need to have how many? 20. Right? I'm tricking them into, hey, let's make sure those 8 happen. Let's not chance it. Let's not have 9 and hope it works. Let's make our business run on a mathematical formula. Let's make sure that the numbers win. Listen, the house always wins. Right? Why? Because they know the numbers. So I'm going to be the house. I'm going to make sure that you have the capability of winning. And I'm going to track it forward 7 days. Right? So look at these guys, right? These guys are all blue. They have 30 plus appointments booked for the week that they're scheduled to be on. The green people are between 20 and 30. The yellow, these people are cautions. They're between 15 and 20. Their numbers ain't going to work out. They might beat them temporarily, but they're not going to build a business, right? I don't want a personality-driven business. I want a systems. I want to be able to go away tomorrow and they keep working just like they don't need me, right? They need the numbers, right? Okay, the black, that's called you're going to have a job in 90 days. Thanks for visiting. And that's what I tell them. Hey, you're in black. When you filling out your next job app, you need a resume, you need an endorsement letter, let me know, I'll write you one. Because they're not going to stick. Right? Black is less than 15. Do the numbers. If you got 12 appointments and you complete 40%, what are you completing? 6? 5-ish? Something like that? Art's numbers don't work for you. Right? You're not good enough to beat the numbers, and the numbers can't beat you. It's a relationship we've got to embrace and then work to our advantage, right? Okay, so then they track their closes. Recruits, life, rollovers of more than 10,000. I don't let them track packs. We do have packs, but I don't count in the total. Because you run a $100 a month pack, you're going to take 18 months to recoup your gas money you paid to get there, right? Okay, so that's good 20 years from now. It's not good today, right? So PLPPs and other stuff, we don't count. We let them count it. Hey, you did it, wonderful. But if you're making $50 on a deal, you got, right, we're tracking stuff you're making money on, right? So those ratios, right, their completed appointments to how many they close go into this formula, right? They close 39.75, either recruit life or $10,000 rollover, 39.75% of every single thing they got in front of last month. That's 0.25% lower than I want it to be. Okay, I want that to be at 40, right? Why? Because if you complete 40 and you close 40, right, 40% of 8 is what? 3. 8, 5, 3. Right? You following that? So, it's like, well, why don't you just tell them, do 8, 5, 3, 1? Because most people want to run this business like school, right? Hey, I got to win a trip The deadline is tomorrow. I'm going to start working today, right? And that's not how life works, right? We got to pay the price up front and in full. We got to set ourselves up so we're not having to scramble all the time, right? And I tell my people, I'm like, look, you make friends with this thing. This is your truth teller. This will tell you everything about you, right? It'll tell you if you are lazy. It'll tell you if your skills are bad. It'll tell you what you need to be working on. It'll tell you, look, you're in red on completes. You're in a bad market, or you don't know how to post-close appointments. One of the two. Now we can fix it. And we can fix it before you have a disaster. We can fix it now, right? Because we're looking forward, right? You following that? And then I track the rates. I can watch and see if they're doing better, worse. I know what's happening with it. So watch this. This is 500. This number here is 500. That's the 7-day total for the full-timers that are being tracked. If they're above 450, we're going to have a good week. If they're below 450, that's a problem, right? But it's looking forward. So if it's below 450, what can I do today? Hey, you need to be setting this, right? You're about to get smacked, right? And I can react to that in real time and teach them how to react to it in real time so they have more successful outcomes, right? So you look at the close rates and you see, isn't that funny? The yellow is good. Yellow is above 40. Okay? Almost all the people that do the activity also have what? Yellow. High close rates. Most of the people that have low activity also have what? Low close rates. Okay? And we can look at almost anything out of here and figure out what's going to happen before it happens. Kind of like the companies do it. There are people there right now figuring out how much money we're going to make as a company this quarter after all expenses, taxes, lawsuits, this thing, that thing, commissions, right? And they're doing something. I don't know what they're doing, but they're looking at something like this. And I figured, hey, why not run my business that way? Right? Why not run my business that way? I got tired of personally producing. Said, look, let me just teach you guys how I thought, right? Because I instinctively knew I got to have a bunch of activity, right? How many of you have realized your people on your team do not know that? Or they do know that and just don't do anything about it, right? Great. So even the most, I don't know the best way to, even the dullest tool in the shed that you got on your team can plug into something like that and run a business without you, right? They fill their numbers out every day. Every day. So I have conference calls. I know I'm over time. 1 minute? You okay? Okay. So I have conference calls with the full-timers, Monday through Friday. I have them in 3 groups, split by activity, right? So you see there's kind of like this cut right there, right? That's how I split it. So I split it by activity. You got more than 30, you're on call 1. You got more than 20, you're on call 2. If you're in the doghouse and you're just kind of waiting around here because you don't like having a job, you're on call 3, right? And so I know every day that they've updated. I watch the docs every day. When I watch them, make sure they update them. And if they're not going to update them, that's okay. They're going to fail. They're just, right? So we're just waiting you out, right? See you at McDonald's. I'll have a number 2, right? Okay. Every day, it's for half an hour, 10 minutes piece. Boom, boom, boom. What do you close today? How many people you got coming to the meeting? Did you update your docs? And then I can look at the docs later on in the day and see. I say, hey man, look, you're going to get murdered here. What's wrong with you? What are you doing? Why are you not working? You said you wanted that. You wanted that. Yeah, okay, good. I want to see that up tomorrow. Right? And it lets them be self-accountable to other people who can also help keep them accountable. I mean, I got guys that call other people say, I'm looking at your numbers, man. That's not good. And they kind of help each other, right? So I'm not always the guy being like, hey, why aren't you doing that? Right? So listen, you don't need to adopt this by any means, but you do need to have some sort of way that's fun and interactive for people to be accountable. Right? And that's kind of what this is. It's fun. These guys up here, right? Every day they can't wait to see who's got the highest thing. And every once in a while they go into Barney. Barney is purple. That's 40. Right? Okay, and it's a big deal if they're in the Barney. Right? Barney the dinosaur, they're in purple, they're in 40. They're like, everybody's like, oh. One time we had a guy get in the 50s, and I think almost half of his appointments were fake, right? I think he was just trying to see what he was doing. But it's fun, it lets us run the business and know what's happening all the time, and we can see it forward instead of backwards. So I hope that was helpful. We'll be back up with you later this afternoon.